And welcome to GKBA today, where we always feature an esteemed member of the association. And today is a little bit extra special. But before I get into that, I always want to thank the Community News organization for this platform and for allowing us to do this show regularly. Well, today we have not only a member, but he is one of our newest board members. And I want to introduce to you Ivan Jimenez from The Contemporary. Welcome, Ivan.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Community News. You guys are great. Wonderful organization.
It is a great organization. So I want to start because, as I always say, people do business with people, not with organizations. So before we talk about your business, your category, and your company, of course, I want to know a little bit about Ivan. Where did you grow up? Were you born here? Let me know.
Sure. Okay. I got you. So my background is very similar to most of Miami's population. You escape a certain country with certain politics.
Okay.
My mom was a journalist in Venezuela.
Okay.
And
what part of Venezuela?
Caracas.
From Caracas. Okay.
But we left because she saw the smoke signals, the red flags, whatever you call it.
What year was it?
I believe it was 2003, 2002.
Okay. Those smoke signals were very prominent at that point.
Yeah. I still remember that.
Because I went in 1998 and Chavez hadn't been elected yet, but you knew it was going to happen. It was going to happen.
I remember when I was maybe 5, 6 years old. I was in the apartment and my mom didn't let me look out the window. We didn't leave the apartment for a full week. But I remember literally seeing the smoke come up from the balcony because we were on a high floor. We were like on the 10th, 12th floor. So you could hear the sounds and stuff. I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't scared because I was too young.
Right.
But my mom was, and I could tell. And after that, we left maybe a couple months after he took power. And we traveled into Europe.
Okay, so you went from Venezuela to Europe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to Spain, France. It didn't work out. But since we had family in Miami, we came back.
Okay.
And it worked out.
Okay.
And now Miami's... I consider Miami more home than Venezuela, to be honest with you.
Okay, so how old were you when you landed in Miami?
I was 8 years old.
8 years old?
Yep.
So then what happened?
Then I became a part of Westchester.
Okay.
Or how most people like to say it.
Westchester proud.
Westchester.
Westchester, you're right. I am from Westchester, so I mean, I live there. I'm not from there, but I live there.
It's funny. I think that a lot of people, for whatever reason in Miami, they at some point in their life, they grew up in Westchester.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Westchester's like that's a little emblematic piece of it that everybody can recall. Yeah. A good childhood.
It's really interesting because the home I live in and that whole neighborhood was built for veterans of the Korean War back in the 50s. So just a little piece of trivia.
I thought it was a Jewish community at some point.
It was. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. And well, growing up in Miami, I studied. Let's just skip forward to college, I guess.
Okay.
You could say.
Go for it.
I'm part of the Southwest alma mater.
Okay.
Got to college. Yeah, no, Westchester to the T. Went to Florida International University for my bachelor's, international relations.
Okay.
And while I was studying, I was also working for a well-known establishment as well. I think it might be older than Community Newspaper.
Okay. Where was it?
Frankie's Pizza.
Frankie's Pizza, yes, the famous Frankie's Pizza.
Yeah, the Pascarella family, shout out to them. They're wonderful people. They've been doing it with love for those 70 years.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, which was more than a minute ago, they used to have a big sign out there saying one of the Pascarellas was Miss Tall World at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny enough, I remember working there. That was like an ongoing joke with the coworkers where someone would always say, "Oh yeah, Roxanne, she was a Dolphins cheerleader," and we all just roll our eyes because like we hear at least once a day.
Okay.
And then the second one is, which more than likely everyone has said at some point if they haven't worked there, is, you know how long I've been coming to Frankie's Pizza?
Okay.
That's the other one. We'll just be like, all right. No, good memories. And honestly, it's a good establishment.
So I got to give a shout out to somebody from there. His name's Jose, but he's better known as the Hulk.
The Hulk.
Really great guy. And anyway, I just gave him a shout out. So I hope you're doing well, Hulk. I see him or talk to him on chat with him almost every day. So
Oh, he's a wonderful person.
yeah,
Yeah. Everybody there.
yeah. So so this was during college. You worked at Frankie's.
Yes.
How much weight did you gain? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no, that was from stress from college. That wasn't from the pizza. No, but afterwards, I did get a scholarship opportunity for a master's in Asian studies.
Asian studies.
Yes, sir. When someone says, "Hey, you want a free scholarship?" you don't really say no to that.
Okay.
So I took it, studied, I got it, and then there was a second scholarship where they offered me to basically live abroad for a year, and it was in Taiwan, not Thailand, Taiwan.
Taiwan.
Yeah.
Very different.
Very different.
Taiwan is where the Chinese Republic was doing war games around this past week, I think, and wants to claim it as their own.
Funny enough, when I arrived, it was when Nancy Pelosi arrived.
Okay.
And I remember they were doing military exercises. So post quarantine in a small room, I think about the size of this studio, I was logged in for 7 days because I had
wow.
to. I was going crazy. But after I went to the apartment, I was with my partner.
You were in a quarantine room for 7 days?
Yeah. I experienced the actual quarantine period. It was insane. I don't know how anybody could do it. Anyway, so when I was in the studio, I remember it was like 5 a.m. and you just hear like this really loud rattling noise, like shh. That's all you heard, like that sound.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife just taps me. She goes, "Hey."
Oh, so you were already married at this point?
Oh no, I'm sorry, my partner.
Okay.
She taps me. She goes, "Baby." I'm like, what is that? It's a jet. Go back to sleep. But yeah, like little things like that where you start seeing the actual international politics of the world. You experience it firsthand, and it does make an impact on your life. You start realizing that the U.S. is that powerful, where the decisions really. Where it makes a country decide, okay, you know what? I'm gonna send jets over here because one politician decided to visit. Little things like that.
So what did you learn? I mean, that must have been an incredible experience. What did you learn?
Chinese. I was
besides Chinese. What did you learn about international relations? That's pretty cool.
Oh, it's
Mandarin,
awesome.
Mandarin Chinese.
Yes, sir, Mandarin.
Okay.
I learned that democracies are really valuable, and just because a place is called the nation doesn't mean they don't operate like an independent country. Okay. And this is me trying to be very gray on this topic.
Okay.
But Taiwan is an independent nation, and the people there are wonderful, and they do value the democratic values of what we uphold here in the U.S. as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you studied international relations, you went to Taiwan, China.
Mm-hmm.
What was your end goal at that point? I realize things changed, but at that point, what was your big dream?
For them to now, yeah, it's very different. But the dream was at some point to potentially work for the government, be part of their intelligence, or see where I can get my feet wet and just apply what I studied. But then I found it through another way.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard the CIA is taking applications just in case you're still leaning in that direction.
I don't know if they want me.
Okay.
But it's okay. So when I came back, I needed a job, and I just started looking online, and I saw, community relations coordinator. Oh, I wonder how that works. I looked into it, and I was like, oh, they want someone that's likable, or whatever. They can talk, they can hold a conversation. And since I know multiple languages, I said, let me just try it. Let's see what happens. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but honestly, it's been working out for the best. I'm really happy where I work.
That's incredible. So you work at the Contemporary.
Yes, sir.
And what is the slogan?
Contemporary living for independent seniors.
Okay. So we're going to ask you some questions about that specifically. But before that, I was reading something yesterday, and it was an expert talking about franchises, which you're not a franchise, but I think it still applies. And they were saying, anything healthcare related, franchise wise, so I assume business wise as well, is it's almost guaranteed business for the future. It's a solid business to get into. So you guys are a pretty new business, and explain to me what is the Contemporary?
I would say that we're between hospitality and healthcare almost. Because
that's interesting.
Yeah, because we're only independent living. In the world of senior living, there's different categories.
Okay.
Yeah, independent, assisted, memory, nursing. That's one that most people think about, and hospice, XYZ.
Right.
But we're only independent living. So that's something that's very different and unique in South Florida because most places have transitional care. But for us,
What is transitional care?
where, for example, you start off as independent, but as there is a potential decline, you decide to go into assisted living.
Okay.
So the difference between independent and assisted, that was your next question?
I was just going to ask.
I got you. So independent living means that you still can handle your daily activities, but we remove the daily, what things become the daily activities that start becoming to burdens, we remove that from you.
Okay.
So
Such as?
I got you. So home insurance, you don't have to worry about maintenance of your home, your apartment. We cook for you in an actual restaurant with an executive chef.
I saw the menu.
It's actually pretty good.
It really looks good.
It matches the demographic.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay. That's all included in...
It's all included in the rent.
Okay.
Transportation, anywhere within a 5-mile radius. So at some point, it becomes a burden. And even for us right now at our ages, it's a burden to drive in Miami.
Sure.
So imagine when you're 85, 90 years old and you have to deal with someone just cutting you off on the highway, you know.
So that happens at every age.
Every
What is the average age of, what do you call them? Tenants?
Residents.
Residents, okay.
Yeah, residents. Again, because we're in that fulcrum between healthcare and hospitality.
Right.
Because for the most part, when you walk into the contemporary, it doesn't feel like a medical establishment.
You're absolutely correct. I've been there several times, and I mean, it looks like a really nice hotel.
Yeah, it's one thing I like to tell people. It's more of a elevated apartments.
Okay.
For seniors, 62 and up.
Okay.
So for the most part, that's more or less what we offer. And most importantly, and this is the one thing I like to highlight, is that we're not big. We're a small community. So at some point, everybody gets to know each other. From like the dishwashers, they start knowing the residents, to just the residents becoming friends and neighbors. It's really wholesome, and it's nice to see that sense of community in a place in Westchester.
How many residents do you have?
We have, I believe, around 79.
79,
more or
okay.
less.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who thought of this is it unique to have just independent living? Like you said, there's usually transition care. Is that unique to have just independent living?
Yes.
Okay.
So in the US, north of Miami, there are some that are just independent, but this is very unique to Miami.
Okay.
Because there's that stigma that a lot of us Latinos tend to have, where we've experienced it. You have a grandpa, a mother, father, and they're like, "You're not putting me in a home. I'm gonna die here."
Right.
But that's different, because independent living just means that you don't have to be alone. You have a social sense of community.
Yeah.
And that is something that at first, the transition from home to independent living tends to be hard for them. But once they started realizing, oh wait, I can have wine with my friend who's also my neighbor, they start relaxing, and they realize, I don't have to drive. This is awesome. Like, you start becoming more relaxed and enjoying life to what extent you can.
That is, to me, that is just really insightful, because I could see the resistance. I mean, who wants to be taken from their home and their daily routine, whether it's difficult or not? And I have heard other cases of that at first, all kinds of resistance, until they really experience it and know what it is. So that is interesting. What kind of activities do you have for them besides they can eat, obviously, there? What else can they do there?
We do a bit of everything.
Okay.
From our chair exercises, if you want to say it like that. But
so you have somebody leading chair exercises?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring people in from the outside.
Okay.
We brought in SFR therapies to come and just do their own sessions and talk about how to prevent injuries, joint pain. We've collaborated with the University of Miami's Department of Neurology, so they can do talks on how to age like a pro. That's a wonderful program, by the way.
How to age like a pro.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
It's a wonderful program, and they help seniors just kind of live their best golden years. And these practices are so simple, but you realize that even at this point, we're both doing it. More than likely, do you look at your cell phone before you go to sleep?
Do I look at what?
Your cell phone before you go to sleep.
I do not.
Oh, okay.
I do not.
I do.
I do not. And I don't look at it first thing in the morning either. That's something I learned.
That's the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the neurologist talked about that, saying, "Oh, if you do stimuli before you go to sleep, it tends to kind of do wear. It
I
tends to
might be
wear
on
your
my
brain."
iPad though.
Oh,
You mentioned the cell phone specifically, but I might be on my iPad.
little things like that. But I've also learned a lot in the process. Activity wise, we also do bazaars. We like to collaborate with the local communities and the local businesses. It's
Okay.
again, that's something I really like about this
You
job.
ever have Frankie's delivered there?
Not yet.
Okay.
But I do visit them from time to time, and they know where I am, and the residents are like, "Oh, you worked at Frankie's? Oh my god!" Yeah, no.
And where are they from? Are they mostly from Westchester or not necessarily?
Who, Frankie's?
No.
Oh,
Your residents.
the residents. You'd be surprised. Most of them are from Westchester and Coral
Interesting.
Gables. Those are the main two: Westchester's and Coral Gables.
It's close.
But if they were in Coral Gables, at some point they lived in Westchester.
Okay.
So it goes back to that statement that I said. At some point, everybody has lived in Westchester.
So there are other facilities, independent living, transition, whatever the category might be. There's competition, obviously. The good thing is that the pie is growing, right? The population is aging. But what makes the contemporary different?
The people.
Okay.
I genuinely think the people are what makes it an actual community, because it's not that they just tend to themselves. They help each other out. They're active. They're chismoso. They like
That means in English, they gossip.
they like their gossip.
Okay.
And I'll tell you one. I'll give you one example. I won't say their name, but I heard stories of a resident that left, and they eventually, maybe a week later, came back to get some stuff, and they were talking to one of the staff, and the staff goes, "Oh, how was it? How do you like it? Are you happy there?" She goes, "Yeah, but the people are not the same." And that's something where it kind of stuck with me when I heard it, like the story. I was like, "Oh wow, no, that's true. Yeah, we do have good people. Like everyone there is just unique, and they like to just showcase that uniqueness." It's nice. It's nice. I feel like that's what really makes it stand out.
So I'm a marketing guy, so I need to know, or I want to know, how do you guys market yourself? How do you get residents?
That's actually a really good question, and it's hard. It's hard to market this specific category, because I didn't mention it, but this is the hardest one to sell, because
Between the transitional nursing, all that.
exactly.
Okay.
It's the hardest one to sell, because you tend to ask yourself, why do I want to move into independent living if I can just live in an apartment?
Okay.
And then that comes the argument again where, what if your rooftop is damaged? What if your ceiling is damaged? What if your plumbing is damaged? What if you don't want to clean anymore? You don't want to cook? That's where we come in. You don't have to deal with any of that. And on top of that, you have a sense of community. You have a chic environment of 84 apartments. So literally everybody gets to know each other. And that's something that's actually affecting a lot of the US. Around 30% of people over the age of 50 feel alone. And loneliness is a silent killer.
You know, that is a great topic. It is the silent killer. I studied this long ago and wanted to do some kind of initiative. I never got it off the ground, but there was a period in my life where I kept hearing it. You know, I'm lonely, I'm lonely, I'm lonely, and I agree. It's a huge problem, and it can kill you.
Yep. So that's my argument. When you can live in an apartment, fine, but you're still gonna feel lonely, and you're gonna still feel burdened. Or you can move to the contemporary, and you can feel not lonely and not feel burdened.
Alleviated,
yeah. And we also have an open bar sometimes, so you can come and have some wine with your friends or a beer.
Yeah, I've seen that bar. It's pretty active.
It's pretty active. I agree.
I've seen you guys cut people off too.
Come on, you have to.
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. So, shifting gears now, talking about the Greater Kendall Business Association. What inspired you to to first become a member?
I remember when I would go to your networking events, I felt there was I'm going to keep repeating this word, but a sense of community. Okay. I felt that everybody was closer, more themselves, and genuine. And that's something that I really do value in a person. I believe, and this is my personal philosophy, if I'm going to work with somebody, I want them to be themselves. I want to see who they really are, because I have to trust you. If I'm gonna try to help you, I need to know that this person that I'm working with is an honest person will also help me too, by the way they act, behave, XYZ. So I saw that a lot with Greater Candle, and I enjoyed it. I said, you know what, this is a good organization. People here are nice, they're respectful. Let's see where this takes me. So
Okay.
I decided to join, and eventually I got the invitation, and I was like, oh, you know what, I'll become a board member. Why not?
Yeah, and thank you for being a board member. You're
of
definitely
course.
an asset. You know, one of the things that we are trying to do is to get people that don't have gray hair on the board,
Oh,
and because you know, like everything changes. We want new, fresh ideas. You've already brought some, and I think it's essential to not the survival of the organization, but for the organization to thrive. So, what have been your observations so far beyond just the people? What has you feel has the organization done for you thus far?
I feel the organization has helped me connect more with Candle.
Okay.
Candle is, in my opinion, one of the more crucial areas for Miami's economy, but it's also undervalued, if I would say, because most people focus on the areas that already have affluence.
Right.
But Candle does have it. It's just you need to reach out. You need to contact them. You need to see where they are, and those people can also thrive. There's a lot of small businesses.
Yeah.
So
There sure are.
I think that Greater Candle Business Association has a lot of potential as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is that, and I don't know if this, you know, helps us or hurts us, that Kendall is such a massive area. If you look at the electoral boundaries, it spans, I mean, it goes way west, way east, way north, and way south. So that the potential, I think, as far as getting more members, more businesses involved, is there. But I start to wonder, you know, are there microcosms out there? Are there a lot of different segments within Kendall, not just geographic, that, you know, make it a challenge? I love a challenge, and that's where we are today. You know, we're striving to do new things, as you know, striving to get more members, and striving to be more of a force in the community in general. So what I know you have some things up your sleeve. We don't want to give away too much.
We're not giving it away.
Okay, we're not giving it away. We're not giving it away, but we do have some incredible events coming up. We have what I call the three-peat. Next week is going to be a very busy week.
Oh yeah, that's going to be a big one.
Because we have an event on the 8th where we're joining forces with Palmetto Bay and Pinecrest. So we're having I think it could be a first time ever. Definitely the first time ever these three organizations got together. It's at Fogo de Chao, and it is an after hours event, as you know. Then the next day we're going to be back here for a meet and greet with two other organizations, Chamber South and Profit Inc. So, and then the next morning, we have our monthly breakfast, and this one is a can't miss because it's going to be cybersecurity experts. And I think there's a lot of misconception out there because small businesses don't think that they're targets for hackers. And I know several that have been hacked already. So yeah, I know 3 small businesses that have been hacked, and luckily they had the financial wherewithal to get out of it. They did have to, all of them had to pay a ransom. They had to pay the ransom. But this is a great topic. So anyway, we are wrapping up, and any final words you want to say about the Contemporary or about Greater Kendall?
Greater Kendall is a great organization, and I am very grateful to be part of the board. And for the Contemporary, I want you to visit on 9105 Southwest 24th Street, Miami, Florida, 33165.
And what's the phone number of the Contemporary?
You can call it 305-330-1321. Remember, it's contemporary living for independent seniors. So if you know someone that's lonely and they want to have a place where they can thrive, send them our way.
Excellent. Thanks, Ivan. And thanks so much for tuning in today. GKBA will be back soon. And once again, we thank Community News for this platform. We'll see